welcome to the Pathway to College session. So, today's session, today's session is just for you guys, okay? You and your path to college, your journey to college, right? And journey to college is very exciting, but it's very overwhelming as well, right? So that's why we have the panel of college students invited for you here. They will help you navigate through this journey and help you to, answer your question or for clarifications, whatever you need. Our goal is to give you the open forum where you don't see your parents right here. That's one of the reasons. They wanted to be in this session very badly, but we said respectfully no, because we wanted to have the open forum. So that's the idea. The idea is for you to ask anything and everything. No question too small or too big. You can ask anything. So in next 90 minutes, we will make sure that you get the maximum out of this session. Okay, and remember, you don't get this golden opportunity again and again. So get the max out of what you can get today. Okay, and the format how we are going to do is we'll start with one round of introduction for the college students. And then we will come here, each one of you introduce yourself, what high school, what grade, and just talk a little bit about yourself. Then I'll hand it off to our super host Ram. Ram has been kind enough to allow us to use this session and conduct this session. What Ram is going to do is, because we wanted to maximize the 90 minutes, right? So he has some set of common questions which any high schooler has. For their pathway to college. So he will kick it off with each of the topics and let the college students share their experiences, clarify whatever they think about it. And then you guys ask your questions related to that topic if you have. And if everything is good, then Ram switches on to the next topic. So that's how the format will be, and we will utilize the max out of it. Okay, then I think at this point I'll hand it up to Ram, and or we can start from here.
Speakers for the introduction.
Switch it up. Okay, please go ahead.
Hello. Okay. My name is Mayuka, and I'm a freshman at Purdue in computer science. So if you guys have anything related to Purdue, to computer science, or just anything in general, please feel free to reach out. I also went to Abanzi, so yeah.
My name is Vikrant. I'm still a senior at Wanzi, so I probably can help you with college advice. Probably can help you with advice for your senior year and throughout high school. I am going to be going into aerospace engineering next year. I still don't know where. We'll find out in like 2 weeks.
Hi, I'm Bhavya. I'm a sophomore at University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and I went to Wabansi for a year, and then I went to IMSA for 3 years, and I'm studying CS. So if you guys have any questions about that, I can answer that.
Hi, I'm Sanchali, and I'm also at ULI, but I'm a freshman in electrical engineering, and I went to Nicola for all 4 years, so if anything related to engineering, you can ask me.
Let's go for quick introduction.
Okay. Hi, my name is Suhani. I'm a sophomore at Wabansi.
I'm Anushka, I'm also a sophomore at Wabansi.
I'm Ayush, I'm also a sophomore at Wabansi.
I'm Sangvi, I'm a freshman at Wabansi. I'm Shinity, I'm a freshman at Wabansi. I'm Lucky, I'm also a freshman at Wabansi.
I'm Vihan, I'm a sophomore at Oswego East.
I'm Paneet, and I'm a sophomore at Wabansi. I'm Saket, and I'm a freshman at Wabansi.
I'm Adi, I'm a freshman at Wabansi.
Okay. Thank you guys for the introduction. I think I will hand over the speaker for one of the speakers. Okay. Let's see. So we'll get started with a quick panel kind of a question answer session. Okay. I have a few questions I already prepared. So we'll start with the topic, AP courses and academics. So I will read the question and one of you can answer, and on top of it, if you have a follow-up question, feel free to ask those questions. Okay. So we'll start with the first one. It's AP courses related. How did you decide which AP courses to take?
Okay, I can kind of start that off. So I kind of knew from my freshman year that I wanted to do computer science, and so when I was mapping out my AP courses, I kind of looked at the courses that would best help my major. So obviously CSA was one of those, computer science principles, and then some of those math courses. So I was planning on taking APBC because I knew that would also help CS being a more math focused. But also AP courses don't have to be for your major, for what you want to do, especially if you don't know what you want to do. They're great exploratory courses as well. So if you're kind of exploring, maybe I want to do something in science, an AP Chem course, for example, could be a good way to kind of see, do I like it? Because they go more in depth than your normal courses would. So I think that when you're planning it out, exploring your interests as well as maybe what you want to possibly do is so important.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat. I've known that I wanted to do aerospace engineering for a long time, so I made sure I took physics, made sure I took calc, but at the same time I didn't really overload myself, so I guess kind of not just AP courses but everything. I made sure I had the classes that I was interested in, so I don't know about other schools, but at least at Wabanzi we have a class called aerospace engineering. It's not an AP class, but it's like a PLTW class if you guys know what that is. So I made sure that I took those classes that I was interested in and wouldn't overload myself, but at the same time made sure I was taking those AP classes that would prepare me for what I need, the foundation I need for going into engineering.
Yeah, so I guess this is more relevant when you're a senior or a junior, but if you kind of have an idea of where you want to apply to college, I would highly recommend looking at what AP credits your college would actually accept. So for example, I'm a CS major, but I have to take Calc 3, and for Calc 1 and 2, even if you get like a 4 on the AP, they don't accept it. They only accept it if you get a 5. So I would like bear that in mind whenever you're taking your AP exams. Like if you have a particular school you really want to go to for a specific major and you have specific goals, I would look into what AP credits they do and don't require or accept. And for me, IMSA didn't have AP courses, so I had to really pick which, I studied for AP tests, and I had to self-study, so I had to be really intentional about which courses or exams, AP exams I was going to take, and if that would actually translate over to like any gen ed or credit for college.
Yeah, I think I agree with like what all of them said, and then also like I feel like personally like I didn't know I wanted to go into engineering like starting off like until like a long time in. So I feel like I just like took whatever I found interesting or like whatever like because I know like U of I for example does accept like a lot of AP credits like if you get like 3, 4 spies. So I feel like that and it's good because I mean I guess I ended up going there so like all the credits that I had like accumulated or amassed like from all the AP classes they like were able to like they accepted them, and so now I feel like I'm more free in terms of like gen eds or stuff that I had to like get out of the way. So I feel like if you like, even if you truly don't know what you're going into, just take like, obviously don't like burden yourself with like a lot. If you know you're not gonna be able to like sustain like at least like a like decent-ish GPA, but like try and like I feel like take as many as you can. I feel like just like challenge yourself, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, maybe we can have.
So they just did the introduction. So if you want to do just quick your name, where you are studying, and just.
Hi, my name is Nirja. I'm a sophomore at Harvard University.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from your group? Okay, I will move on with the second question, which is related to AP. Which AP classes are most beneficial for college applications?
I don't think there's like a direct answer for this. There's not going to be an AP course that is the most beneficial or one that is the least. It all depends on what you're going into and what your interests are. But I will say there are some AP courses that are more versatile and that apply to more majors. So if you're still exploring what you want to do, for example, an AP Stats class might be a good AP to take because, I mean, AP Stats is applicable to so many classes. You're going to need to take it for so many majors. So it's a good idea if you don't know what to do to just take that if you're still interested in it. So anything that's very versatile that you think would apply to multiple majors, or maybe multiple majors that you're considering, those are all good options to consider.
You don't need to answer everybody. I mean, this, one is also good. Any questions from anybody? Okay. I will move on to the next question. How do you balance AP coursework with extracurricular activities?
So, like I mentioned, I think, at least compared to a lot of people around me, I probably took slightly fewer AP classes. I think throughout all high school, I'm going to end up with 8 or 9, and people have like 10, 11, 12, or however many. So, for me, I think it was taking the AP courses I knew that I would be interested enough in to where I wouldn't be like, kind of like dragging myself through the class. And so, to where I would still, have the motivation to study, do homework and all that, and pay attention in class. And I think the fact that I was still interested in everything I was doing gave me kind of like the mental capacity to be able to branch out and try and extracurriculars in other classes and stuff like that.
Okay, you good? Okay, the next question goes to, is it better to take fewer APs with strong grades or more APs with average grades? I mean, it's a little bit of tricky. I mean, it's not applies to everyone, but
Take the APs you're interested in. I think that if you're actually interested in doing the coursework, that'll translate to better grades, first of all. Second of all, I think that you should always be aiming to get the highest score you can, but again, like a B, like GPA-wise, the weighted GPA and the unweighted GPA, I would see how your school handles. I know like some schools do it differently, like an A- might be like 3.75 for some schools, and like some schools do it differently. So I would look into how your school does it and look into what your target GPA is, but again, like I wouldn't stress so much about that because there's a lot of things that go into your application, and you should be focused on getting the best grades you can. And of course, like if you're taking an AP course, like if you get a lower grade, it's going to translate to a higher grade with your weighted GPA.
any questions? And related to AP courses or academics. So maybe I will ask one question which regards to the PSAT, right? So can you guys share some light on the PSAT? Is the prep work before the SAT or ACT, right? How important it is, what to focus on?
Yeah, so I actually think they changed it. I know they changed it from the SAT to the ACT, so I don't think we take the PSAT anymore.
Oh.
I might be wrong.
So PSAT is
I might be wrong.
maybe, okay, they are discontinuing, okay.
I
PSAT.
think there is like a prep ACT exam if I'm not wrong. Did any of you guys take the ACT?
I took it on paper.
Like
ancient.
Is that digital now too?
Yeah, ACT?
ACT?
Oh, I submitted my ACTs, yes.
Okay, so I think, do you want to tell me more about it?
Sorry.
I got this mixed up. Yes, I took the ACT. What is the question?
Just the pre-exam, is there like...
There's no pre-exam for the ACT.
Oh.
we take
You guys have a pre-exam? Oh my god, guys, wait, I graduated in 2023. They did not have, okay.
It's really similar to the ACT.
Okay, if it's similar to the ACT, my advice, like I think a lot of people struggle with like the science section and the time of the ACT in general, because it's one of those things. I personally liked it better than the SAT. A lot of people say the SAT is like lifting, let's say you're lifting 10-pound weights 4 times versus the ACT is like lifting a 40-pound weight all at once. So I would say that the preparation for it is a lot more rigorous just because you have to like really make sure like you're good with timing, you're good with the science section, and the math section goes into a lot deeper topics than the SAT does. So I would just spend a good amount of time, like make sure you know the math concepts well. For me, like the math and the science section was a bit of a struggle. For the science section, time is usually the thing people struggle with. So this is like very specific, I guess, but like make sure you're reading the question first and then going back into the passage. It's not supposed to be a reading section. You're supposed to look at charts and graphs first and the question first. You really shouldn't need to read any of the actual text unless they're asking for like some kind of context, like which scientist has the better experiment or whatever like that. So yeah, that helps a lot with time too. Just making sure you're not wasting your time reading the blurbs because it's not a reading section. It's really just testing you on whether you know how to read a graph or not.
Related question, is that like, what are the steps do you take to qualify for national merit recognition or any related scholarships?
I know national merit is like with the PSAT. I don't know if there's one with the pre-ACT. I have no clue.
We don't know that.
But at least for PSAT, there's like a qualifying score. So if you get above a score, you're qualified to be a national merit semifinalist. And then I think you have to fill out, you have to fill out an application to become a finalist. But I think as long as you like fill it out, they'll select you for that.
Okay. Before we switch to the next topic, any questions on AP courses, academic?
So I was wondering because we have the option to take either the SAT or the ACT, which one would you guys recommend, or should we do both? Like, what's the importance of doing either of them?
I think I prepped for both, but I only took one. And I think in hindsight, it's probably better to do, like, to study and focus on one than, or at least this is the way I'm feeling, like, towards other exams for, like, future schools above college. Like, if you can take, like, the LSAT or the GRE, I think it's easier to focus on one. So I would say, like, it's probably better to focus on one, especially if there's one that you know you have to take or you know you'll be offered, I would focus on that. But that's just a personal opinion.
So is there like one that's better to take over the other?
Okay, my experience, I used to tutor kids that were like deciding between the ACT and the SAT, and like, it's kind of like what Nir just said, like, I think you should take practice exams for both and figure out which ones you're doing better in and feel more confident in and would rather prep for. Again, like, this is kind of what both have very different preparation strategies, in my opinion. Like, they're kind of very different exams, especially since the SAT is fully online now and you get like Desmos for the whole math section. It's like really different from prepping for the ACT, which is fully on paper and like different math questions. So again, like, I agree with her, like, focus on one that you think you're gonna do better in and really put all your effort into that. I ended up taking both and prepping for both. And I wish I kind of took the ACT earlier and more seriously earlier, because I think I would have saved a lot of money and time. Because I took the SAT a lot, and I definitely did. I took the ACT like twice, and I did much, much better. So everyone has like a different exam, I think, that they personally are like better for. So take practice exams for both, because the preparation for both is really different. Yeah.
And I will say, like, it's again to each their own. Like, you're gonna be better at the ACT or SAT. Like, I was better at the SAT, and so I focused more on that. But the main point I would also make is if school is making you take an ACT, try that first. Just because, I mean, that'll also save you. I mean, if you're already having to prep for a school exam, right? Like, school is making you take an ACT. Maybe it's better to also look into that. So I wouldn't obviously choose the one that's better for you. I wouldn't discount one or the other based on other people's experiences because yours is going to be so much more different. But I will say if the school is already pushing for an ACT because you're going to have to take that anyway in school, and that'll also save you money because it's free. You might as well look into that and see if that works for you, but no pressure if it doesn't at the same time.
Depending on what major you're planning on majoring in college, is there like one test that's like more beneficial to take?
I don't think so. If you're wondering about like application-wise, I don't think schools really care which one you take. So just whichever one you can score better on.
And for that, the standardized testing is like, they don't even, I think when they look at that, they don't even really look at your major either. Like they're really just looking to see if you're like a competent student, and that's it. Like the exams, like it's just a reflection of whether or not you'll be able to survive in college, and that's all they use it for. And every college has a different threshold for that.
I guess the one thing I would say is if you're going into like engineering or something, you should maybe do good on the maths. You should probably do good on the math section.
Is good to move on to the next topic? Okay. The next topic is extracurricular activities and clubs. What are some unique clubs? Oh man. What are some unique clubs or organizations that help strengthen your college application? So you guys have a lot of clubs, right? Which one to focus? It's like confusing, right? So many like freshers, like they have 5, 6, they are learning about school, college, and as well as balancing the courses and clubs in the evening. It's too much overwhelming, right? So
Yeah, so I guess first with school clubs, or mainly school clubs, my freshman year I did like 4 or something. I just wanted to see which ones I liked. And then I immediately knew that like 2 or 3 of those I never wanted to touch again. And so now the 3 I'm doing, in school I'm doing youth and government, I'm doing Business Professionals of America, and then kind of, this one's kind of low-key, but we're doing rocketry. We launch rockets and compete like nationally. So for me, that 3rd one was, that's my favorite one because that is like directly what I want to do in the future is go into aerospace and like make airplanes and rockets. So my biggest advice for clubs and extracurriculars is to just find what you are interested in rather than what you think is gonna like look better on a resume, because from what I think and what I know, doing what you're interested in and passionate in and like what you're gonna major in is what I think colleges want to see. I don't actually know.
And again, this is also going off of my experience. I think a lot of colleges, and this is what I was also told when I was applying, they really stress making an impact more than just being in something. So if you're, say you want to go into a certain major and you think this club is going to be really good for you, and you go into it and you go into maybe 5 different clubs that pertain to that. Sure, that looks good that you were involved in all those clubs, but what did you do in those clubs is the big question. So being involved in like 1 or 2 clubs that you're super involved in where you've made an impact and you can talk about that in any kind of interview or any kind of application is better than being in 5 clubs that you can only say mediocre things about what you've done. So really focus on making an impact than being in a club that you think will suit you better or kind of look better on an application.
yeah, that's I think very good answer, right? You need to look for what you are passionate about, what you can commit as well, right? So commit and show some impact, that will definitely add value, and pick the one what you are looking for in the college. Any questions on that, anybody? So that helps you, right? Rather than jumping into 5 clubs, now you can focus on what are the 1 or 2 or 3, right? Which really helps.
Okay, also, I think it's easy to get caught up in like, oh, someone at my school is doing this, someone at my school is doing this. Like, you can do activities outside of school, guys. Like, there's so many things, there's so many programs like out there for high school students to get involved in. Like, over the summer, you can do summer research, you can do like, you can be an ambassador for something, like, and then like Mayuka said, like, it doesn't matter if you're just doing it, it matters if like, you do it and you do something with it or you do well in it. Like if you win an award for something, like it's more important that you had deep impact with whatever you're involved in. And there's like a lot of school clubs too. Like school clubs are fine to get involved in, but like if you feel like you see something outside of school, like it's good to get involved in that too, whether that's a sport, like some kind of like program, like, you know, whatever it is that interests you. I think people often overlook things outside of school, which I think is so important because there's so many high school programs out there, especially like for research and stuff.
On the same note, I would like to ask one more question. How important is it to take a leadership role in the club? Like the club has 10 or 20 people, right? Is that the leaders on the club gets good recognition or the entire club?
I mean, I think it kind of relays the sentiment of like what other people were saying about impact. Like if you're like president of a club, but you're not really, doing that much or doing any outreach, it's not necessarily like more important to be like leadership of that club than just a member. But if you're, huge in leadership in a club and it's something that you're taking the direct like action towards, and you're doing collaboration and workshops and things like that, like I think that stands out more, and that's what like a lot of people are looking for. Like they're looking forward to see what your club did when you were in that leadership position versus were you a leader in that work.
So I had a question on what you guys were talking about doing stuff outside of school. Were you able to find any high school internships or stuff that kind of applied to what you wanted to do with your major, or just kind of working with any organizations?
So for me, I applied to a bunch of like summer internships and research stuff, and I got rejected from all of them. What ended up working for me was just cold emailing people. I had emailed like 100 professors, and I got 2 to say yes to me. So it definitely is a mental struggle to do that, and it's really annoying. But I think just applying and taking that initiative is the best way to get there.
What are the benefits of like out of school, like in internships and like research and stuff?
Okay, I think that you can show more unique impact because the, what is it called, like college admissions officer, whoever's like reading it, I think like, every school has Key Club, every school has Model UN, every school has like, I don't know, like a bunch of different like clubs, like a lot of schools have because they're nationally recognized, which is great if you're a part of them. But if you're just a general member, that's not a bad thing. You can be involved in it if you're interested, but it might not necessarily be the most enriching thing to talk about and put on your application if you can't really say like, you can't quantify your impact. But like for something like an internship or something that's like a research program or like a program from another college or like a company, it's like admissions officers, first of all, know about them if they're well known, and if they don't, like I think you can have more specific things that you did that other students might not. Like I did, it was the same like cold outreach. I had like an internship in high school, and that I like learned so many things, and like I could talk about so many things that I couldn't through like a club, because there are like restrictions of what you can do, and there's a certain structure to things, and a lot of schools have a similar structure, and like people write similar things. Like if you're on the outreach team for Key Club, like you're doing very similar things to someone like who goes to like Matia if you go to Wabansi. Like it's very similar. So I think we get a really unique impact, and if it's a well-known program, it's a well-known program. So that's also very impressive.
So this is kind of a build-up off of that. But a lot of kids in my grade are trying to start like businesses or nonprofits. So I'm assuming that's like a common thing that kids do in every grade. So I was wondering if you guys did anything like that or had any friends who did that, and were there any benefits or detriments to doing that as well?
I think I know a lot of people, especially in college now, who had like maybe a business or a nonprofit or a passion project that they were working on to that degree. I think just the thing that comes with that is also the amount of time that you're going to need to put into that compared to other things. Like I know a lot of them who put so much time into that they didn't take certain classes, or they they maybe didn't get the test scores that they wanted to. And so I think like when it comes to starting something like that, that's going to take a lot of time and passion that you're going to have to take away from somewhere else. And from what I've heard from them, that's what they had to do. So I think that's kind of one of the things that you need to assess. Like how much time and effort do I need to put into this to make this achievable and make this a thing? But also how much is that going to detract from other things that I'm interested in?
So do you know if they were able to keep up with those projects once they applied into college, or did they do it more for the application?
I mean, it depends. Some people, I think some close friends have, continued their like passion project, and so that's like one of the only things other than school that they focus on. There's a senior who I met recently at college who is currently like running a business, trying to launch another business, and those are the two things they focus on other than school. So that's like, you know, they keep it up, they keep it as their main priority other than school. So I think there are people who keep their passion projects up, and sometimes even people have taken semesters off, you know, to focus on those projects as well.
Yeah, I think that was really well said, and like this was like a really big trend at my high school too. Like people would just come up with like these nonprofits, like startups, like stuff like that, and like, you know, I personally speaking, like a lot of the people that I knew from high school that did those things are not pursuing them anymore. But there are like the 10% that's doing them, but that's really not like. I feel like realistically, like 90% of people like drop it because they're really just doing it for college applications. But it's such a big trend. I feel like especially if you're starting like a nonprofit or something, like admissions officers can like see through that. So I would just be like careful if you're starting one, and if you are, only write about it if you have quantifiable impact. Like my friend did one. She got like thousands of dollars in seed funding from like. And she's still pursuing it. Like she just got like money from different startup accelerators, like competitions, things like that. I think that's a lot more meaningful. If you can put a number to your impact or something like to recognize that impact, that's telling the admissions officer like, oh, this isn't just like a random you know, what does it call it, 501k or something, like nonprofit I filed under my dad's name and I'm gonna like say I like did so much with it, like, you know, because there's so many people that have that same idea, but again, like admissions officers really, really see through it, and like you'll hear this from like a lot of different people. So yeah, just make sure there's quantifiable impact if you are doing one.
The biggest thing I think I see is people who like really want to have a nonprofit and they underestimate how much work actually goes into it and how difficult it is, especially if you're working with like your friends or just kids your age. How difficult it is to get people to actually put as much time and effort as you are into it. So I think if you're gonna do one, go for it, but make sure it's something that you are passionate in and are willing to put in a lot of time. Because I know so many people who have put in a bunch of time into something and then like halfway through are like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Okay, good to move on. Okay, next question. How do colleges view participation in sports, arts, or community service? We have a lot of boys here. You guys are in the sports, so this is a good question for you guys.
I will say, like, those all kind of fall under the umbrella of extracurriculars. So
Yeah.
if doing a sport is something you are involved in, and you can say, you know, I was a coach for this team and I had this and this impact, or some kind of impact, something you can show, something quantifiable, then I'd say that's a great thing to show and a great thing to talk about. But if you were just in a sport and, you know, you kind of played, it wasn't really your biggest focus, I wouldn't kind of stress that. So definitely like what you can quantify from it. And when it comes to service, colleges love service from what I know. Like, they love to see that you are giving back to the community, but not in just saying, oh, I volunteered at a random organization for a few hours. Like, you know, you want to be able to say like, oh, I was part of an organization, or, you know, I committed so much to a certain organization, or something where you were able to make an actual impact through your volunteering, and you weren't just doing it just to get a few hours, you know. So I think just being able, this is just the same thing as extracurriculars, like, being able to quantify and say like, I did this and I had an impact is so important. Just saying that you have something or just kind of adding another bullet point on the Common App is not like gonna help you as much as having something quantifiable to say about it.
Okay. So the other question on this is, are there any clubs or competitions that provide great networking or scholarship opportunities? Serving the clubs or the doing extracurricular activities will help lead any scholarships, like doing a club which helps that city government or city, right, who has a networking opportunities? Will they provide some scholarship for being a active volunteer? Or anything, any experience you guys have, or you guys are aware of anything?
I think those are very subjective in terms of scholarships and being able to get them through certain organizations. That is fully based on how connected you are to a certain official, how connected you are to a certain organization, do they even give out those scholarships? So it's very subjective. That would completely be like your own experience, but I will say being a part of those organizations that you know might give scholarships or that are just, you know, kind of involved in the community can help you get one. But in terms of scholarships, I think the biggest thing is just to just be like when you're in your senior year, maybe even junior year, just start applying to them. Those are usually I would say don't just apply to things because cold emailing works better in terms of internships and opportunities, but for scholarships, honestly, it is just a matter of applying and just seeing where you can get random money. So I think the biggest thing with that is more than clubs and other things, just having scholarships, and those scholarships will ask you to talk about kind of your other experiences. So that's where you can kind of bring in your impact in certain volunteering clubs. And I know there are scholarships that focus on, you know, certain things. So like if you're super involved in this, then you're eligible for it. So I don't know about certain exact clubs, but definitely just kind of putting in your impact, doing a lot of clubs, and then just applying for scholarships can itself help you get some.
For a specific club, I know BPA has like 2 or 3 scholarships they give out at state every year, and that's something that's like really underground. People don't know about it, so there's probably not that many people applying for it. So I'm sure there's a lot of scholarships like that. So maybe just in general for scholarships, I think look for those more like underground ones that are gonna have less people applying for them. A lot of local ones will have, rather than like those national ones that are like gonna have everyone and their mother applying for them. I think that'll be the best shot at getting them.
We have asked the question for these kids. Anybody participating in the sports? You guys, what sport you are?
I play volleyball.
Volleyball. So like participation in volleyball or getting the championship, will that matter for college? Like if he compete in the high school and he is the champion for the school, does it add any value for the college application?
Yeah, I think that goes back to what maybe or someone previously said about like quantifiable impact. Like that's definitely good to put. What sport did you do? You said what sport are you in?
Yeah, both me and Anishka were black belts in Taekwondo.
Oh yeah, okay, so that's like outside of school. That's also a great thing. Actually, I'm gonna call her out right now. Nirja is like what? I wrote 3rd degree, first degree, black belt. Sorry, in Taekwondo. So like, wait, I'll pass this over to you so you can speak more about it and like how you put it on your applications if you did. But no, like yeah, I think that's definitely a good thing to put, especially if it was meaningful to you. Like, I didn't do sports, but I had friends who did sports, and like, if it's meaningful to you and you did well, that's definitely good to put. I think it shows commitment. Oh, yeah, that's the thing with sports. Like, if you just dropped it, like I did viola for a little bit, but I dropped it, so I didn't put that on my extracurriculars at all. Because if you just like drop something after a year, 2 years, it's just like not. Like colleges really want to see that you're committing to an instrument or sport or whatever. And like when you commit to something, like you'll eventually get like your black belt or get like, you know, an award or something like that. So yeah, that's one way you can quantify it. I think the original question was about scholarships. Yeah. So there are like scholarships, like niche scholarships that like you have a good chance of winning and getting some money from. If you want like prestige, there are like certain scholarships out there, like Coca-Cola scholars, there's Questbridge scholars. For that one, like you have to see if you qualify for that. But there are programs that are direct pipelines to really prestigious networks and networks into like certain specific schools. So I would look into that, like Coca-Cola, Questbridge. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but there's like a good 10 like really prestigious scholarships. I would look into those. I know some pretty cool people who've gone through them and they really liked, you know, the people they met through that. So yeah.
you want to talk about taekwondo?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry for
Yeah.
calling you out.
Yeah, that's good. I'm interested because my daughter did the taekwondo, the junior kids taekwondo back belt program. I don't know how it helps.
I think, I mean, I didn't really write about it, but I think in like, I think I included like, because when I did Taekwondo, I went to like, after I got my black belt, I went to like meetings to coordinate competitions and helped judge, which I think was probably more of something to write about than maybe just the sport itself. I also did sports, I did one sport in high school, I played badminton. And so I just included it as an extracurricular just to show that like it was something I committed to all 4 years and I just did. But, you know, sometimes, especially if that's not like, I think the sports community is a little difficult because it's like, they also are, when they are looking at sports, they also might be looking for someone who they can contribute to their own athletic life. And so I include it as an extracurricular, but it's not necessarily something you need to include. It could be, in that case, it was like probably equal to any other extracurricular anyone could have done.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, one more thing about that, like she reminded me, but like a lot of colleges like have certain quotas for like their orchestra, their, you know, badminton team or like whatever teams, like music, whatever. So like a lot of times like you won't know this, no one will know it, but like let's just say they need an extra, they need more oboes in their orchestra or band or whatever, like, and you play the oboe, like that automatically gives you like the tiniest bit of a leg up because they're like, oh, like an oboe player, like, you know, we kind of need that. And some, you know, not every school, but some schools do have like a quota for like certain things. So if they see like, you know, you're really, really good at track and they're particularly looking for people like running for track, like it's a bit of a gamble, like you're never gonna know, but it's just like a good thing to put on there just in case they do, like they are looking for someone like in martial arts or something like that. But yeah, you'll never like know for sure, but niche skills are always good.
Yeah, and I will say, like, just like Bugga said, like, it's not usually kind of put out on the internet or, like, kind of out to applicants, but, like, one of my really close friends, she has a scholarship right now at Purdue for playing orchestra, and so she is able to, it's one of the classes she takes, but because of that, and she just included it on her application, she didn't even know about it. And because of that, they not only gave her money as long as she did orchestra, but it kind of gave her that leg up in the process as well. So definitely having, you know, something niche like that is helpful, especially, and you can even research and look into like their quotas and stuff, because although they won't say like, oh, we're accepting this many applicants for like say orchestra, it is definitely online, like how many people they want to fill or kind of like what opportunities they have. So research, I think, is the biggest thing in terms of that.
Any questions? I would like to ask you one more. I am exploring from my company. Did you guys, your parents, you guys applied scholarship from your parents' company, like IT company? They always throw some scholarship money for their kids. Did you guys apply anything through your parents' companies?
I didn't.
Okay.
I
So I would just let you guys know, like, so I work for Humana. We have a program called like a scholarship for the associate kids, like we are all associates. So you have to put application in and put your story behind it. Then they go through the screening process. If you get selected, Humana pays every year $5,000 for next 4 years. So $20,000 if you keep continuing your journey, meeting the eligibility criteria. That $5,000 is for your college expense and books and laptop, whatnot. So, okay. Any additional questions on the clubs, scholarships, or anything? Okay, let's move on. Next topic. Internships and summer programs. I mean, some of these topics are combined here and there, but we'll skip if we already answered those questions, right? So, how do you find and apply for high school internships? I think you asked that question, right? So, this is a good one, right? Did you guys apply for high school internships, like 9th, 10th, 11th? 3 grades, do you have a chance to go and apply? Or even if you did not apply, but you missed that opportunity, but do you have any advice for the kids?
Yeah, I got mine through my high school, so it was a bit of like, yeah, like my high school helped a lot. But I think like for my friends and stuff, this is where like Reddit stalking and LinkedIn stalking comes really in handy. I found out about so many things because people will gatekeep everything from you, so you really have to like look at Reddit, look at what other people are doing, look at their LinkedIn's. Like you really need to stalk people if like you don't know people doing it or you don't have like someone older than you that you know has done it before, because people will gatekeep things from you and like they will not tell you. Like there's so many summer programs, like prestigious summer programs that I found out about through like other people that had already done it, or like that I just found like through stalking, and like I applied to them, and yeah, like that's like my number one strategy. Like a Google search is not enough. Like you have to stalk people, and you can do that through LinkedIn or Reddit. Yeah.
So do you recommend to have a LinkedIn profile created right now for these kids?
Like no, you don't have to. Like you don't have to. It's a bit overkill, but like some people do in high school, and like they'll put stuff on there, and like if you find it, like that's a good way to stalk people. But it's more relevant in college, anyways, because LinkedIn is more for like companies. So.
Mm-hmm. So what are some good summer camps or research programs for high schoolers?
Okay, so there's a lot. So I think it depends on your major. Okay, like if you're doing aerospace, there's SSP, which is Summer Science Program. That one's pretty prestigious and it's pretty good. Like if you're interested in space or that kind of engineering at all. There's Code with Clossy for CS. I think that's for women in CS. There's like a bunch. I can't name them off the top of my head, but again, like that Reddit and LinkedIn stalking will really help you with that search.
Okay, the next question is, are unpaid internships worth it?
I guess it depends on what the internship is and if you're passionate about it. Like, if something is an unpaid internship and you don't like it and you don't really care for the work, it's really probably not worth it, unless maybe the organization is something that looks, good or is something you do care about. I think I did an unpaid internship for like a weird conference, and that was fine, but it really didn't do much. It really didn't give me much, and so it was like kind of not really that helpful in the long run. So I would just say like unpaid internships can be great, but what is the internship, and think about how it's helping you. And if you're not enjoying the work or you don't think the work is giving you anything inherently, then don't think it's worth it.
I think you pretty much covered this, but I'd make sure that it's like important that you're actually doing something that has an impact or is relevant to what you want to go into. But I wouldn't let an internship, just the sole fact that it's unpaid, stop you from doing it, especially in high school.
How early should I start looking for the summer opportunities? Is that 9th grade is too early, 10th?
I don't think it's ever too early. I like to say like any opportunity is a good opportunity. So if you can even learn something from it at any age, honestly, it's a great opportunity and something to delve into. I wouldn't say stress over it. I know a lot of people want to take summer courses instead, and so obviously look at all your options, but it's never too early to look for any summer opportunities, because that is the best time and that's the most time you're going to have to be able to delve into whatever you're actually interested in, or kind of explore what you're interested in. So I would say definitely, even if you're a freshman right now, look for opportunities in the summer. If you can find anything, it doesn't have to be an internship or something crazy, any kind of program where you can learn something, be it a summer camp or like a part-time job, anything that can kind of get you experience or kind of teach you something. It'll be more enriching than kind of just staying at home or kind of doing something else.
Okay, let's move on. we will move on to college preparation and application process. This is the next topic. What are the most important factors college look at when reviewing the applications?
So this is depending on each college. I will say the biggest thing that helped me when I was looking at colleges were College Vibe, which is a website that kind of looks at a college's criteria and you kind of create a profile of your own extracurriculars, grades, whatnot. And it'll create kind of a comprehensive profile and saying kind of what chances you have, what you can do to kind of give you a leg up. So definitely research is the biggest thing. So things like College Vibe are good. And every college will have, I forgot what it's called, I have to look into it, but every college has like a comprehensive kind of requirement for what they want. Common data set, that's what it is. Every single college will have a common data set, which you can search up easily online. It's a profile of not only their last applicant pool, but also exactly what they deemed as important. So it kind of goes like not important on to important kind of as a scale. And so it'll say like grades. Do they deem it as very important? Is it in the middle? And so you can kind of look at all those things and see, do they want grades more than extracurriculars? Do they want essays to be more polished than other things? And so it depends on each college. And so researching and kind of noting down for the colleges of your choice, like what do they look into? What do I have or maybe not have that I could improve on? Are like two of the biggest things that I would kind of think about.
On that common data set, one thing I would look for is demonstrated interest, and that's just like how interested are you in the school. So if a college does track demonstrated interest, that means they like look, are you like, have you visited, have you like talked to anyone there? And I think, so also like if they don't track demonstrated interest, that means like don't waste your time doing that. So for me, I think I showed a lot of demonstrated interest to some of the schools I was interested in, and I think that is probably something that set me apart from someone who had like everything else really similar to me.
I think one thing is also like you'll never fully know what colleges want, and so it's just really, I think one thing that I've just noticed after attending college is a lot of people have like one or two things that they were highly passionate in, and talked and continue to do work in those spaces. So I would just say that might be one thing as well.
I think admissions officers' favorite word is holistic. They say it every 2 seconds, that there's not one single thing they're looking for, they look at everything. But I know, like you said, I think if there's one or two things that you are super passionate about and are super involved in, it doesn't necessarily have to be something you've done for all 4 years, but something that you can show that either you've like won something or you have like been a leader for a large group of people. I think that's pretty important.
Okay, wait, so I know like they talked about it, and I think it's like really good that they talked about it, because I know you guys are all young, so I feel like you have to kind of like look at like what you're passionate about and like fully like hone in on that in the next like 3 or 2 years. So I think like when they're looking at it, especially like in application wise, like they probably like look at like, oh, like this application came in, do they have like some sort of like common theme or something that like really like shines through in their application? And I feel like if you're passionate about like whatever it may be, like you can like really like do things like extracurricular wise or even class wise and like really show that you are. And then especially I feel like you can, if it is used in like an extracurricular and you like take that far, you can like write about it in like your essays and stuff, which I feel like would also be like a really good way to like show that you're like really interested in this one thing. And then if you tie that into your major, that's probably like even more kudos to you. So I think being passionate about something or like finding what you are passionate about, obviously you don't need to, but like I feel like that definitely helps in the application.
Just that you mentioned about YouTube, right? What are the good YouTube channels or the YouTubers to follow for the high school? Like learning, teaching, that nowadays everything you can find on YouTube, right? Like somebody is teaching math. Do you have any recommendations? Hey, look at that guy who can teach you about science. Look at anything you guys followed or any, technology is changing a lot.
Well, yeah, I would say organic chem tutor for like anything that's like, so I feel like you guys probably already know that since you're in high school, but you guys?
I was gonna say organic.
Yeah,
There's this TikToker, he's also on Reels now. His name's, I don't know his TikTok name, but his real name's Gohar Khan.
Yeah.
Yes, his college admissions videos helped a lot. Like that's where I learned about the common data set, I learned about a bunch of different things, and they're literally like 10 seconds long, so you don't have to commit to watching like a 5-minute long video. But yeah, that one was really good.
Go hard.
There's a lot. Wait, there's like a lot of like influencers that are good for this kind of stuff. There was this one SAT thing called Rocket SAT. I don't know, but I don't know if it's still a thing. But it was like you could earn money for practicing the SAT. So like yeah, they would have like these daily competitions. And I got the app, and it's like. Wait, I never won, but like people would win like $5, and it's like not a lot, but like at least you're getting paid to do SAT problems. There's like there's a lot of TikTokers out there that do like SAT problems like really quick. Like I think that stuff is like useful because it's just like you'll be scrolling and like if you're following them, they'll pop up, and just take the extra 15 seconds, extra minute to just learn how to do like a problem, like and like subconsciously you'll definitely remember how to do it if it ever comes up on the exam.
Yeah, I don't know anyone specific, but I would say when I was just like scrolling on TikTok, I'd randomly have like an SAT problem pop up or like a random like college advice pop up, and that would be super helpful for me. But I don't know anyone specific.
This is off topic, but I feel like there's also like a lot of people who are like influencers who are aiming to like help like do one-on-one consultations and like help you get into like colleges. I low-key feel like that's a scam. So like
Yes, super expensive.
keep those. They're like super expensive. People are just trying to make money, so also just be wary of that.
Yeah, I will say the whole college admissions kind of industry is a very saturated one. So if you do find anyone online and even like videos and stuff, just be wary, make sure it is credible, because I know I've also seen a lot of kind of like fear mongering almost, like you'll see like, oh, computer science is dead, or you'll see, oh, like college, you're not getting into college anymore, like just don't give it to fear mongering. I think the internet is a great space to learn about different opportunities and to kind of familiarize yourselves with other things that you might not be able to, but it's also a great place to get caught in a rabbit hole and just kind of lose what you know of yourself. So just be wary of what you're looking at, but definitely Go Hard is a very good resource.
This is kind of unrelated to like YouTube and like TikTok and stuff, but college prep like C2 and other like organizations that offer really expensive college prep. It's okay, in my personal opinion, I didn't go through any college prep. I had like a few friends who did. It's really not that crazy. Like they're just dedicating a time for you to force yourself to like study. And if you can like discipline yourself to do that yourself, you're gonna save so much money because it's so expensive. And I have been an academic advisor like through a company, and I've also been an SAT and ACT tutor, and I've had friends through that, like coworkers, and I can 100% tell you like our heart is not in it. Like when we're doing it, like it's really just. You think it's working because you're actually forcing yourself to sit down and study. But like you can just do that. Or like force your friend to like say like, okay, at 6 p.m. we're going to like the public library and we're sitting down, we're doing an SAT. Like that will be so much better than like, paying so much money. Like families pay a lot of money for this kind of stuff, and like it can really be avoided if like you have, someone older than you that you can ask for advice, look over your resumes. Like Nirja mentioned, like they'll be like, oh, for like $50 an hour, we'll like look over your essays. Like you really don't need to do that. Like ask like the people around you, like ask like your, neighbors, friends, cousins, whatever. And then for like studying and like getting tutoring, if you feel like it's helpful for you to like get like a tutor to really force you and like sit down and like make you do it, like that's fine too, but just try to have the discipline to like do it yourself because you'll save so much money.
That's a good point. Yeah. Self-discipline is really important. Time management. Because it's a lot of money.
I did not have that discipline, just so you know. Like my dad and I actually were gonna go get tutoring because I really would never sit down and do it. But like in hindsight, like if I just did that, like just practice it and just set aside a time, like get a buddy to do it with you, like you'll save a lot of money and like tears.
yeah.
I think you can save a lot of money if you find a friend or someone who can keep you accountable. Because my parents made me have like this like college admissions person for a little bit, and more so than the actual advice she was giving me, the biggest thing that helped me was that she would set deadlines for me, and then she would yell at me if I didn't meet them. So you can save a lot of money if you just get a friend or your parents or someone to do that for you.
Yeah, look, if someone else is matters rather
Not
than
to
your
yell.
parents.
Yeah.
You don't care about
Like
parents
find
anymore.
someone you'll actually listen to,
Yeah.
guys. Like
Yeah.
it's different when your parents are
Like,
yelling
if my
at you.
parents are telling me to
Like
do something, I'll be like, okay.
I know. Like or how to like if you finish something, like treat yourself out to something, like get food or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, it's easy to kind of get lost in what other people are doing. You know, everyone's going to say, oh, I'm doing this, it's working so well, I'm paying this much. And you know, like, what works for someone else is not going to work for you. So honestly, just stay true to yourself and kind of understand where you're at and what you need at the moment. Because especially in the college admissions process, people love to compare themselves to show what they're doing. And it can really get in your head sometimes. So really just be sure to, you know, stay true to what you need and just keep yourself disciplined like everyone else is saying.
Good discussion. Yeah. I like that. Okay, let's move on.
I had a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this was going back to like what colleges want to see in your applications. So I know, especially as basic kids, a lot of our applications can start to look really similar. So how were you able to find like a niche thing that made you stand out that colleges hadn't seen before?
I think one thing for me I really tried to do was to, I think you mentioned it, have like a common theme in your application. So for me, mine was like related to like airplanes and like aerospace because that's what I'm interested in. So like something I did was I volunteered at, there's like an aviation, there's one of the like local airports in Bolingbrook, there's like an aviation museum there. So I volunteered there and that's like related to what I want to do, and I don't know anyone else who did that, like I was with a bunch of old people. But that was something that was really cool and really interesting for me. So I think for me, that's probably what set me apart, was showing that like I'm super passionate about airplanes and aerospace.
Do you think National like Honor Society is actually something for you?
We didn't have one.
You don't? Oh.
We our school did.
Oh.
Not really. Like I think, I mean, I was part of leadership for NHS, I think for 2 years. I think the volunteering you have to do to stay part of NHS is helpful because it allows you to do something you're passionate about. And so I was able to write about like community service from an arts performance lens, which I think was helpful. But I don't think the actual like leadership or organization or being part of NHS was very helpful in a lot that I did. But it also depends, because my NHS was not very active, but it depends on like what your chapter might be doing, etc.
When should I start working on my college essays?
Don't like start. I know like some people will like start at the beginning of high school. Like there's extremes like that. You don't need to do all that. Like you could even start like at least at Wabanzi, I know that they made us write like a makeshift essay beginning junior year, and honestly that's a great time to start, you know. You don't want to start too far out because your experiences aren't completely done, you know. You're constantly experiencing new things. You might have something else you want to talk about by the time you get to when you actually need to start applying. So I think that mark like halfway junior year, maybe start thinking about ideas beginning of junior year, start writing it later. I think that's a pretty good area to start, because if you start too early, you're not, you know, giving room for yourself to grow and kind of have new experiences and talk from a current lens. And then obviously you don't want to start too late. Please don't start too late. Like definitely give yourself the time to write a good rough draft so you can get teachers and friends and family to start reviewing it.
Yeah, so I had because the Common App essay prompts, I know they don't really change, but they release those around now, March, April. So I worked on mine throughout the summer, and then for each specific school, like they don't even release those until August. I know a lot of them don't change, but some of them do. So I wouldn't want like write a whole essay just for it to not even like to have a different prompt.
Okay, let's move on. what is one thing you wish you knew before applying to the college? Like in the process of applying college, oh, I should have known this before. One or two things.
I mean, I've touched on this a lot, but I think one of the biggest things I wish I knew back then was the fact that you don't need a lot of things, you just need a few good things to talk about, you know, like, I think, at least in my year, it was so many people would come up to me and say, oh, I'm doing 10 different things, I don't get home till 8 p.m., I'm so busy, but like, I have all these things to talk about, and then they don't even use half those things, you know, like, and I think another thing is college applications is more of a mental game, honestly, at like some caliber, like, it's gonna be constant comparison with everyone, not even willingly. Like people will just come and start talking to you about, you know, what they're doing. I mean, it's a whole competitive kind of feel. So I think just something I wish I knew was to like it doesn't matter what other people do. It's a very, very subjective kind of experience, you know. It's based on what you've done, and it just like do your best, you know, and also just don't try to stack things, you know. It's really important to just have a few things that you're passionate about, that relate to your major, what you want to do. And I think just those combined, honestly, are things that I would say would make your experience better.
I think going on to like comparing yourself to other people, like right now I'm still a senior and I'm definitely experiencing that. Especially right now we have like our decisions rolling out and it's just not the best. But especially during applications, it's really easy to get caught up in, oh, this person's doing that. Especially if they're doing something similar to you, like, oh, they're doing that, I don't have that. I think don't like get caught up in that. You don't have to do everything. Again, as long as you have those one or two things that you were really invested in and passionate about, you'll be fine.
Good. Moving on to the next topic, common myths and misconceptions. Okay. Is it true that colleges only care about GPA and test scores?
No, not at all. I would say so far, like, even if you feel like you might not measure up in like one area, like apply if there's some place you're passionate about, if there's something you're passionate about. Yeah, I think a lot of times, like, you know, in certain places, like, you might think you need to have the most perfect scores on everything, and, you know, it's okay. That's not all they're looking at. They're also trying to see like who you are as a well-rounded candidate, and sometimes, you know, like essays and talking about the things that you're passionate about, and really having that like that term of like, you know, quantifiable action, like that. I think an impact is what people also are looking for, because a lot of these colleges have students who are very similar to you, who have similar scores or similar like GPAs, etc. So they're also looking for other things to kind of see why you would be a good fit for their school.
So they look for the unique factors other than just test scores and GPA. Do I need to have a perfect SAT or ACT score to get into a good college?
No. Having a good one is great. Having a perfect one, it does give you a leg up. It is something that is hard to get. But not having it doesn't detriment you. And I mean, a lot of schools recently have been going test optional, and what the biggest thing that admissions kind of counselors will say is like, you know, submitting a score can help you, it can't hurt you. So if you don't get a good score, you know, you don't have to submit it. It's not the biggest thing, and colleges nowadays care more about your impact and you as a person, because a lot of their applicants are, like, if you take away all their extracurriculars, they kind of look the same, you know? They all have great grades, like 10 APs, great GPA, but what makes you different, you know? Focus on, grades are important, but what's also important is kind of what sets you apart from that, because you'll be surprised as to how many people are so similar to you in terms of your application.
The next question is, are Ivy League schools are the only ones worth applying to? Not many are qualified or?
No. No.
Okay, no.
I mean, I applied to one and like, I don't even think I would go there, but no. There's a lot of good schools out there. Don't let like a brand name influence you. I think it's look into like what programs do they have, what opportunities do they have. Try to reach out to somebody who's going there and what you want to do, and see how their experience was.
Wait, also guys, like make sure you apply to like even if you do apply to Ivy League schools, make sure you apply to ones that you know for sure that you'll get in. Because I feel like I know people like last year, like some, or not many, but like a few who they only applied to like, I know they call them like reach or like target schools, like ones that are like harder, like you're just like putting it as a challenge to see if you can get in. Like let's say you don't get into any and then you're like, oh my god, like where am I going? So make sure you have like some that you know for sure that you will get in, so just so you have a place to go in the fall.
Each and every school or college has the application fee as well, right?
It's like $70, $80.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
so
don't just go applying.
For
sure. Yeah.
Should not be applying 100. It's like a lot of money.
Yeah, I think any and all colleges, like, their main goal is to make sure that you are educated and you're able to focus on, you know, a topic or idea that you want to. And I think that there's like a myth of like elitist schools are being necessarily or inherently better than one another, and I think that that's just a myth. It's really not true. Regardless of what college you go to, you're going to find a great community, you're going to find, you know, important connections, and you're going to be able to get a degree that allows you to do a lot of things. So yeah, that's a huge myth.
General question, okay. How did you manage stress and workload in high school? Like when you transition from middle school to high school, you get into like a lot of trauma, right? Getting to know about school, classrooms, especially Ovanzi is like a jungle, right? How do you manage that stress and homeworks? Like up to elementary and middle school, they are chill, right? Not much work, nothing to do. End up playing games and whatnot. Once you transition to high school, how do you guys, give some advice, how to manage the stress and...
Yeah, so the biggest thing for me was, so during COVID I had a bunch of free time and I was like sitting around doing nothing. So I picked up the guitar, and that has really helped me throughout high school. Whenever I've been stressed or like been like studying for like an hour to like 2 hours or something, and I like need like a break, I can go to that and it's kind of take my mind off things. So definitely having, I forgot the exact word for it, but like a hobby, but just like something to take your mind off school or even like from your friends. Because for me, not just like school stress, but even like stress with your friends and whatever. Not just somewhere where you can be by yourself.
This isn't something I did in high school, but it's something I do now in college. But do little things to treat yourself. Like if you've had a hard week or you know you're gonna have a hard week, just like have that one thing to look forward to. And like if I know I have a lot of exams in 1 week, I'll be like, okay, like I'll study really hard and I'm gonna get myself frozen yogurt or like something like that. Like, like you should reward yourself for like the hard work you're putting yourself through. So like, whether that's a weekend or something, like have little things to look forward to. I think that'll help you a lot with productivity, rather than feeling like you're literally just working all the time.
Yeah, don't do it every day. Every day outside food. Okay, let's move on. Maybe last 2 questions. Okay, go ahead.
This was more for like just in high school in general, but I feel like finding good study habits is something that's really difficult because when I take a break, I just end up like doom scrolling. So was there anything you guys learned how to do to kind of avoid that or make sure that you were staying disciplined when you were studying?
So a lot of times what I would do is I don't know if you've heard of the Pomodoro study strategy. I kind of did that, but in like my own way. So I would set aside some time to study, then I'd give myself a really disciplined break. And I know it's easy to say, when you're in your break, I'll take 5-10 more minutes. But I mean, discipline is something you kind of build up over time. It's not something that I can just say, oh, here's what you do, and you get discipline, So definitely just kind of keeping yourself in check. And honestly, a great thing that I've done is, studying with my friends. And that doesn't work for all people. I know some of my friends are like, I have to study alone. But for me, what really helps is studying with someone I know who will keep me accountable. If I say I'm taking a 5-minute break, at 5 minutes, they will cut me off. They will take my phone. They will do what they have to get me back into work. And like having that is honestly something that is really helpful as well. But you can't always rely on other people, so I will say just kind of building up your discipline, telling yourself, if I take these 5 extra minutes now, that's 5 extra minutes later that I'm losing. So kind of just put yourself in that mindset where if you get your work done now and if you stay focused now, that only helps you in the future. So it's really more of a mind game in my opinion.
One thing that's really important for me is my environment. If I study in the same spot for forever, I will not focus. I'll find something to distract myself. So whether that's moving around my house or I go to the library, and then especially with the library, it's keeping people next to you that are accountable. For me, if everyone around me is working and I'm going on my phone or something, I'll feel immediately that I should be working. So I think finding the environment that's best for you. If that's your room, then good. That's good for you. But I think just moving around and then keeping someone next to you who's also working could just be your parents or something. I think it was really helpful too.
Yes, the library thing is really good. You need to maintain silence and people are watching around you, right? Okay, let's move on. This is a good one to ask. What is the biggest mistake students make in high school planning? Common mistake, everybody tend to make that mistake.
I just think you don't need to have it all figured out right now. It's a very fluid process, I would argue, and things are going to be changing. Colleges are going to be changing. Your high school life is going to be different from how you expect it to be. But I would say feed off of that change. Things are maybe inevitable to be different, but there's always a way to get through it, and you're going to be okay. I think mainly. And I think the other thing is just make sure to focus on yourself as much as you're focusing on getting into college and doing all these things, because it's a lot. It's a really large and complicated process, and there's no point in doing all of it if at the end you're not happy or you feel stressed or you don't like what you're doing. So just also make sure to focus on yourself throughout the process.
Yeah, and going off of that, I would say a lot of my friends now, that is one of their biggest regrets in high school, is not living in high school, kind of throwing themselves into their work. And I think it's so important to both focus on your grades, focus on school, focus on college, but also focus on, having a life. You're only this young once, enjoy yourself. And I think the biggest thing is college is not kind of a measure of your self-worth. College is just a reflection of the work that you put in the past. So if you put in a good amount of work and you're still enjoying yourself, you're still living a life, at the end of the day, you will be, I know it's annoying to say, but you will be where you belong. You will, as much as some people don't want to believe it, that is the truth. Even I don't want to believe it, but you will truly end up where you belong. So honestly, just focus on doing what you love, enjoy high school, and don't focus on what other people say. I know it's easy to get caught up in, this person is saying this person is doing this. Forget about it, You are your own person, you have your own unique journey, so enjoy it. And I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of people would tell you.
Don't compare with others, be your own self.
Yeah, and then for me, I think I did a lot of extracurriculars and I spread myself too thin, and I feel like I didn't devote as much time to maybe studying for my classes. But yeah, again, you don't have to do everything that everyone else is doing. I feel like I was doing 10 plus extracurriculars for literally no reason. And again, it's more about impact. You should, it's good to be involved, but be involved in maybe just a couple things that you're really passionate about and you're gonna do well in, or things that if you are more than that, just maybe things that aren't that much of a commitment. But yeah, don't spread yourself out too thin. That's something that I did that a lot of people told me not to do that. But sometimes you just have to learn when to say no, or when you've reached your bandwidth, because I always wanted to do everything. I was I need to do everything. But I definitely spread myself way too thin.
Okay. Kiddos, any other questions? Anything you want to get some advice? Anything? Srinidhi?
No.
So Srinidhi does all the track, getting a track award or a championship, whatever, I don't know what is that. Is that helps with the college? Even my son is going for a track too. Just
Yeah, I think we mentioned this before, someone mentioned it before, but like, you know, colleges will have quotas or like certain,
Some
you know,
sports
things,
quota,
like,
yeah.
right, for sports. So like, if you do well in it or show commitment to it, like, I think that's always a good thing. Like, that's never gonna hurt your application, it'll only help.
Will they give a discount or a scholarship fee in the college?
Some depends, yeah.
Some,
Yeah, I think, well, they'll give you, that's only if you're like recruited to play for the school, that they'll give you a scholarship. And for that, for D1 schools, you need to be like super good. So if you're just like a senior in JV, unless it's like I would only do it at that point if you're like really into it and really passionate about it. But if you're doing it for college, like I don't think they care.
Okay.
So like how helpful do you think like robotics would be in college? Like if you're like involved in robotics and I'm going to CS or I'm going to hoping to CS in college.
That's a very good experience to have, I will say, because even if you don't go to comps, even just being in robotics, you're gonna be exposed to new languages, new hardware, and those are things that you can, even if not now, later list as skills. Like especially with like fields like CS, learning over time is a big thing, and building up your skill set. And so robotics is a great way to build up your skill set. And if you can get some kind of impact from robotics, it looks amazing on applications. And I know a lot of people will have robotics on their applications, but still, it's honestly a great experience. So I'd say it's a good thing.
Yeah, even like not just like how it looks on an application. I think the practical skills you learn, especially if you're going into engineering, are super helpful. And like I'm going into aerospace, like I mentioned, and I didn't realize how much
But yeah, but stats and calc you'll definitely have to take as a CS major, and that might get you out of some credits depending on what score you get.
Another thing I would say that I know at least Bonzi doesn't tell you about at all is that you can take like dual enrollment classes at like COD or like Bonzi Community College. That's what I did. I took like an online like linear algebra class, and I think it'll get me out of linear algebra, which I don't know if any of you taken linear algebra, but like I don't want to touch that ever again. So I would look into it. If you're gonna do that though, definitely do it at like a community college. Don't drop like thousands of dollars, especially those. I know a lot of like prestigious schools have like these summer programs where you just like take a class at the school and spend like full tuition on it. I don't think that's worth it, but I think definitely taking classes at community college like over the summer is when you have more time is worth it. It can get you out of get you a lot of credit.
Do you guys self-study any APs, or like what's the benefit of it? Or do you think just taking the class in high school is better?
Yeah, but you go first. I mean, I self-studied a few APs, mostly econ, CS, and comparative gov. I don't know if I'd really recommend it. I think I think it's a little different because my school did have APs, so it's like I didn't need to self-study them to take the test or anything. And I think just in terms of my own brain, like the instruction that I got in class was a lot better than anything I had online. So I don't necessarily think you need to like, self-study for APs. I don't think it necessarily like gives you anything. And also right now, like I go to a college that doesn't accept any AP scores. So I think I took a total of like however many APs and none of them really count. So it's not really.
Okay, wait, that's the other thing with like private versus public schools and like state schools and stuff. I think state schools are more like accepting of like APs, but like private schools definitely like usually don't. And especially if like you're going to school with a prestigious major, they'll accept less APs as well. Like I know for CS, like a lot of like AP scores at UIUC aren't accepted either. That's one thing to know. And like if you're gonna self-study, like I tried self-studying for more than one, and like I would not recommend it if you're gonna self-study for it, because it's just like you're just not gonna get the depth that you would in like a course. And like I'm someone who works better with someone else giving me like structure, like and deadlines, like this is when something's due. Like I don't do well with like online classes. That's just who I am as a person. If you feel like you're someone who does well with like an if you did really well during e-learning, or like like you're someone who can like pace themselves, like maybe that's a good idea for you, but like for me, like having a course structure really, really helps. And like if you're trying to self-study multiple at a time, like you're just not gonna get the depth that you would like in a course. And like I know that there were a few that I thought that I could self-study for, but it's kind of a waste of money because I really, really, really bombed them. So, you know, I just, if you're gonna do it, do like one, maybe two. But other than that, I don't recommend it at all.
Just to keep in mind that if you're taking other APs that are in person, you're gonna have to study for all of them at the same time when the exact exams roll around. And so like that's like trying to study a full-on course by yourself plus trying to review everything you learned in your other courses that you're trying to take a test for. So like it is something that you can do, but it's not necessarily something that would benefit you.
And I will say these teachers have a lot of experience most of the time. Like I'll take BC for example. These teachers have been teaching BC for so long, they know the ins and outs of this exam, and that is something you're not gonna get online. You know, you're not gonna get those inside tips, those kind of, you know, little tidbits that they give you that really do help you take the exam. Because learning the content is one thing, taking the exam is a whole other thing. And they know so much that we don't, that is not available online. So really just honestly taking those classes I think does have a lot more benefit. I mean, I didn't self-study anything, but that's because I did know that like, these teachers, they know things that I'm not gonna find elsewhere.
Yeah, and then heavy on the exam thing because I self-studied AB and BC and like I did not know that there's like a particular way you're supposed to show your work, and I lost so many points because there's a very, very specific way for like written exams. There's a very specific way they want it, like AP Lang too, like I did that one, and like there's a particular way they want you to write it because they will grade according to like a very, very specific rubric. And like when you're in a course, obviously like your teacher's gonna tell you that and you're gonna practice it like 10 times, but when you're self-studying, like you're so focused on actually trying to like learn the material, like you're not gonna have to spend time on like, oh, this is the rubric, this is how I have to do it. But yeah, another tip if you're self-studying.
Yeah, like for BC, the entire last month of the class is literally just taking practice AP tests and like going through how they want their answers to be. And so I think that's why as Robandi, like the BC scores are always really good, even if you struggle in the class, because at some point it's just like a formula or like a format that they want, and as long as you know how to do that, like you'll do good on the test.
Any
questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm taking a music right now, and like, how do you guys recommend like going through like a music while still taking like other electives? Cause like I'm like trying to do other electives, but I'm like, oh, music, and then I still want to keep music, you know.
I mean, if you, I think a really good resource is creating a plan. So, like, I know you're already a sophomore, but you know, like creating like a plan for the next 2 years, plan out all the electives you want to take and see where you have room to take them. Because if you still want to keep music, then you're gonna have to be able to navigate around that. You have to take your core classes. So, I don't think there's any way around that other than just really good planning. And use your counselor as a resource. I think they know a lot about, you know, they've seen so many kids who are trying to navigate music along with other things. So honestly, use your resources, you know, use counselors, use upperclassmen who've also been in the same boat. But really there's no way around it. You kind of just have to push through.
I don't know if like any of you guys like took AP Physics, but like is it worth it? And like is it like hard? Because I heard of like a lot of stuff.
So if you go to Abonzi, just know you do have Mr. C, David C. He does not finish the content. Do know that. So how Physics C works is it's split into two tests. So you have mechanics and you have E&M. He gets through all of E&M. He does have like yeah. I'm sorry, mechanics. He gets through all of mechanics. He does not get through all of E&M. So what me and some of my friends did is we only signed up for the mechanics exam because I knew I wasn't gonna have it and we to study for E&M with everything going on senior year. Is it worth it? Depends on your major. It's not like taking the class is a bad thing just because he isn't the best teacher sometimes. You know, like you still do learn a lot. And if you put in the work outside of class, you're solid. Like you can do it. And if it's some like I know you're doing aero, so like it would help any kind of engineering, you know, anything that uses physics. But if you don't need it, then it's definitely just based on interest. Like I knew I wasn't gonna particularly need it, but I still wanted to take it, so I took it. So
I will say definitely if you're not interested in it and you don't need it, don't take it. Don't do that to yourself. But I know a lot of people like to fearmonger about it. It is definitely manageable, but I think I don't actually know what it is. It's probably the closest you'll get to a college class in the sense that you need to do work outside of the class. If you just pay attention to class, you will not learn everything.
Good question, Lucky. Srini, do you have any questions? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Like skipping ahead from like AP physics, I'm taking honors physics next year, and I've heard that's also scary because apparently there's only like 3 tests or something, and like if you bomb one, you're already screwed.
So I thought honors wasn't that bad. That is true that there's the cumulative exams, which does really suck. But they're definitely manageable. You just need to. I know there's like the tests you have throughout the year that are not graded. You should, if you study for those, and he like goes over the entire thing like the next day, you'll be fine. Like you'll learn everything. I think first semester honors physics was pretty easy, and then second semester there was like a pretty big jump in the difficulty, but it wasn't impossible.
Yeah, I will say honors physics is definitely, like there's a lot of fearmongering. I don't think it's as bad as some people make it out to be. The people that say it's the horrible worst class they've ever taken are the people that aren't putting in the work. It's a very discipline heavy class, He'll get, homeworks are randomly graded, so some people just don't do them when they're graded, they're like, oh well. And then tests are not graded. Only things that are graded are your cumulative exams, right? So a lot of people won't study for the test, they won't put in effort for the test, they won't do their homework, and so they're expecting to go into this class, do the stuff in class, and then maybe study a little bit outside of class and get a good grade, which is not gonna happen, Put in the work, understand that like, even though some things aren't graded, they really do help and they really do add up. So, study for those tests, do your best on the tests, they're self-graded, it's not that deep, so don't stress about it, but still do your best on it. As long as you put in the time and the effort into the class, you'll honestly do fine. Me and my friends, we all did just fine. We were lost at times too, so.
Go ahead.
So, how exactly, you know how we have like textbooks and all that. So what was like a reading pattern you did, like when you were like freshmen and sophomores? And like, do taking notes actually like help?
So are you a freshman? Are you taking AP Human?
Yeah.
Okay, so for me the biggest thing that helped in that class was writing stuff down. That's how I absorbed the information. Honestly, I haven't taken a class like that since because I hated it. But so for me, just writing stuff down is how I would absorb it, especially for those classes where you need to just memorize a textbook. For me, it was handwriting. If you can absorb it by typing, go for it.
Are they still running AP Physics off the textbook, or is C on?
C kind of does whatever he wants to. Yeah.
The book is helpful. I will say it does have concepts. He does occasionally tell you to read those concepts. He does what he wants, but still use it as a resource. It is a resource. It does teach you more than he would in some cases.
I think all the tests he gives are like old AP tests.
Yeah.
So that's why like what he teaches is not gonna be what's on the test. But if you like do like old AP tests, it'll be fine.
Yeah. So really, the textbook has good problems, good practice problems. Honestly, at a point, those books and those problems will be a better bet than just paying attention in class. So what he teaches, does it align with the textbook? No. Does it align with the course? He tries, not really. So really just use your resources in that class.
Wait, which teacher?
David and C. So you'll have there's 2 teachers, Wishway and C. For AP Physics, it's C. For Honors Physics, it's both of them.
So I'm planning on taking VEI senior year. So I was wondering if you guys had taken it or you knew anyone who did. Because I have all their prereqs for it, but I know to get a higher position or something in the business, you need a lot more business classes. So I was kind of wondering what that was like.
So I did take VEI. I'm not sure about yes, having experience in all those classes is very helpful, But it is voted on by your peers. The teacher has nothing to do with it. the entire class, the teacher has nothing to do with it. He kind of just sits there and kind of, you know, gives you a few little tips, but it's really all student led. So at a point, it like yes, having experience, being able to say, you know, I have so and so experience, I know accounting, I know all of these things. It's very helpful, especially if you do want like a CEO position. But I don't think you necessarily need it because it is voted on by your peers, for CEO at least, and then for the execs for each department. That is, I'm pretty sure it was an application and an interview with the CEO and our supervisor. So that one you would need a little more experience, but I mean, like I was on the marketing team, I've not taken a marketing class. So you do not need to have taken a certain class to be on a team, you just need to be able to talk about your skills, what you can offer, why you want to be on the team, you know, just simple things like that, you know. Like I had design experience before, so I talked about that and got me the position.
So like for example, because right now I have like a semester of junior year where I kind of know what I want to take, but I've been like debating between taking either animation because that's something I'm really interested in, or business law, like for another business class. So does it really matter what I end up doing?
Don't take something just because you need to check off a box, you know? Like, if you want to take animation and that is fun for you, I honestly would say go for it. There's only so much room to take fun classes, so why not? I mean, I think taking business law, if you're only looking from a BEI perspective, I think taking business law is not gonna be the biggest help, you know? Like, it could give you a leg up, but if you're taking it just for BEI and it ends up not helping you, you know, you're not gonna be happy about that, you know? But if you do want to take business law too, like that's still a good course. Just make sure whatever class you take, you want to take, you know? Don't take it just to check off a box.
Yeah, if you're interested in animation, I would say go for it, especially if it's just a semester class. Like this year, I'm taking music production, and that's something I'm interested in, and it's a really fun class. So that's kind of how I'm able to balance out taking AP Physics and Calc 3, is having classes like that where it's like I can chill in class, I don't really have to do much outside of it. And then for me personally, I kind of knocked out 2 birds with 1 stone because I needed an art credit, and I didn't take up music or anything. Because the California schools need art credit, and so I got to do that.
For PLTW classes, I know digital electronics is dual enrollment, and then all the PLTW classes end with like a test at the end that I've heard can give you college credit. Like, how do those work?
So yeah, I took ID, PLE, aerospace, and then I'm in EDD right now. We never studied for those tests, and we bombed them, and then we got nothing for them. So I don't know how those work. But I do know that DE is dual credit with COD, so you will get college credit for those.
You need 4 years science for CS.
Again, it depends on the school, but I can speak for you at UC specifically. If you're talking about like college credit and stuff, for science classes, you don't take any science classes except 2 physics credits. But most people, like, I'm pretty sure like 80% of people like take that outside of UIUC because UIUC has like a really great physics program. So like the physics classes are kind of hard. So, and it's not a prereq for anything, it's just 2 random physics credits you have to satisfy. But besides that, like there's no chem, no anything like that. Like you don't have to take any, it's all just math and CS for the CS courses. But I know like some schools, like I had a friend in Northwestern, there's a specific core requirement, like the first 2 years of college, like you have to take like 1 chem class, 1 physics class. Again, depends. I know private schools do it a little differently, but I can say like most state schools, usually you're not going to be taking any science, maybe like a physics credit here and there, but that's it.
Yeah, and I can say for Purdue, I only have to take a lab science, like 2 semesters of a lab science. If I took AP Chem or something in high school, I would have knocked that out. I did not do that, so. But I'm taking an environmental science class. It's not that deep for Purdue at least. But in general, you just have to look at, this is just research, you know, look at the colleges, look at what they require, because some of them do require multiple years of science going into the application. I don't know if any required 4 years from what I remember, but most of them do require 3 years just in the application. But in terms of credit wise, it depends on the school. Like again, like U of I has their own requirements, Purdue has its own requirements, so definitely just look into that. But yeah, I don't think you have to worry too much about that.
So we're taking the AP exam in April. I was wondering like what you guys like, how exactly does it work? In there,
Yes, AP Human, God, I took a long time ago. But I know there's an MCQ section, an FRQ section, and the test is how long are these AP exams?
Like an hour?
I think 3 hours.
No.
I think it's 3 and then there's a break between those 2 sections.
Wait, who'd you have for
I had English, I did not like him. That class was really boring. But yeah, so I know you like skip like half of the day, and then so you take like one section and have like a 10-minute break, and then take the other section. And then also for AP Human specifically, preparing for that class was one of the worst APs to prepare for me. But that's just because for me personally, I don't like social studies classes because of all the reading you have to do. But for me, it was just taking those notes, and those handwritten notes was the best way that I was able to prepare for that.
Would you recommend taking US history over the summer?
I took US history over the summer because I didn't want to take a push. That's up to you, and also if you know what you're going into, if you're going into like law or something, or like humanities, I think a push is probably more helpful.
I think the biggest thing for me is I wanted to have an extra class in my schedule. I wanted that room to take other classes I wanted to, instead of just taking like a requirement, which is why I took it over the summer. But so again, like if you want room in your schedule, definitely take it over the summer. It's also a little bit easier, and then a lot of people are taking it, so you can kind of work with other people. But if you really are interested in US history, then a push is also a good option. So really just weigh your options and plan out your like courses.
If you were like in like the fence about like 2 majors, did you guys ever like shadow anybody to like find any like real life experience to like help you push one way or the other?
So I didn't personally, but I know one of my friends, she wanted to go into dentistry, so she shadowed a dentist. And so she, which from what I know, like from what she told me, she learned a lot from that experience, and it did give her insight into, you know, like if she wanted to, she was between business and dentistry. So, you know, it did help her kind of decide that. But I think that like you don't have to shadow someone to find out if you like want to go into a different major. That can even just be through exploring courses or just doing research. You know, there's a lot of ways to kind of decide between 2 majors, and you still have time. Like, don't feel rushed about it either.
I was just gonna say, so I think I already mentioned like I knew I wanted to do aerospace for a long time, but what really like cemented that for me was I took the aerospace engineering class, and I was super interested in that. And then I had a research experience, which was like all about drones. And I think that's the other thing about research is that's like your first like practical experience of what that's actually like in the real world. And so if you hate your research experience, you probably won't like, I mean, it depends, it always depends. But if you really enjoy like your research experience, if you do get one, then that's super helpful because that's obviously it's not like, it's really different from taking class, it's that practical experience.
Yeah, and then the other thing is like if you go into your freshman year and you feel like, oh my god, I really hate this major, I hate the requirements for it, like you can always transfer. I know like a lot of people that have done that, like someone did information sciences, then they switched to Comp B or something like that. Yeah, like, and you know, like some majors are going to be really similar to each other, and the job prospects will be also really similar. I know there's people doing like finance and data science, and people doing finance and information sciences. Job prospects are very similar. They're just different majors. You're learning different things. And like when you get into college, you still have an opportunity, especially your freshman year, to change that. And I know some schools, they don't even let you declare your major your first year. Like your first year is just like, you take as much classes as you can, and you find out, you know, what your major's going to be, and you declare it right before your sophomore year, at the end of your freshman year. So yeah, every school does it differently, and like I know UIUC in particular, like there's always, they call it ICTing, There's a process to that, but like I know people who've done it, and yeah, I think some majors can also be very similar in terms of job prospects. But if you're looking at something like completely different, like business and dentistry, then maybe yeah, like you should talk to someone who's in either, figure out what you want to do with that.
Did you guys have any jobs during like high school? Like,
Did you work
did
any
you work?
jobs?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my sophomore year, I worked at Kumon. I didn't like it. I would not recommend.
I junior and senior year, I worked at Code Ninjas, and that was a good experience for me because I wanted to go into CS. But you don't even have to do something related to what you want to do. I know a lot of people who have just worked part-time in like fast food and stuff, and honestly any of those experiences are good experiences. You know, it's real world experience that you're not gonna get anywhere else. It exposes you to real life, so I think it is a good opportunity if you do want to do it. It's if you want to do it related to your major or like at a tutoring place, that also is good because you learn so much from just teaching kids as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I think getting a job definitely is helpful because you're able to interact with people, which I think is really important. I think especially for something like engineering, being able to talk to people will really set you apart because a lot of people in like those type of fields don't know how to talk to people.
Are like summer courses like a lot of work, like 5 hours a day, or like are they over exaggerating when they say that?
Are you talking about like U.S. history
Yeah.
and gov and stuff? They're over exaggerating in my opinion. It's different for each person. I still you have to put in a few hours a day, but I mean with the combination of having my friends taking it as well, you know, like we would take the quizzes together and stuff. So, it's really just writing that takes you a little bit of time, but they give you like a week to do any big writing assignments. So like you still have time for summer, you still have time to enjoy yourself, but it is you still do have to spend a few hours a day at least. Maybe not 5, maybe like 2 or 3, I would say. It depends on how disciplined you are with it too.
Any questions, anybody?
Time for pizza? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I really want to take some time. Thank you guys. Thank you for coming all over during your spring break, spending your time caring for your juniors or the neighborhood friends, sharing your knowledge and all the experience you went through applying to the college, being in the college. I really appreciate your time. Okay, thank you.